Tensions rose sharply during a House hearing on free speech when Congressman Jared Moskowitz of Florida confronted UK Member of Parliament Nigel Farage in an exchange that veered from dry policy discussion into a revealing moment about accountability, power, and political discomfort. If you want coverage that explains not just what happened, but why it matters, be sure to subscribe now.
Yields back. The gentleman from Florida is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Farage, thanks for being here, coming across the pond. I'm sorry to hear you're leaving the hearing early.
Well, it's not a question of leaving the hearing early, but I do have other things to do. Yeah.
Oh, where are you going?
I'm so sorry about that.
That's okay. Where are you going?
It's not lunch, I promise you.
It's not lunch. You're not going to have lunch.
I don't think so, no.
No lunch.
Sad, isn't it?
You're meeting with the president?
I can't remember what the schedule is. It's possible.
You can't remember if you're meeting with the president.
I'm being very polite, and I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing this afternoon, but I can assure you that...
But there's the free speech hearing. You're not going to tell me what you're doing this afternoon?
Free speech is one thing, discretion's quite another, too.
Okay. All right, so you're leaving to have lunch with the president. So, Mr. Farage, I have a question. Have you heard about the Epstein thing that's going on here?
I have.
You have? What do you think about it?
I'm not going to give comment on anything happening in America. I'm here as a witness.
Perfect.
I'm here as a witness. I'm here as a witness for what is happening in the United Kingdom and in the European
Perfect.
countries.
Let me just go through it. So it's been 9 months, right, since we've been meeting in these hearings. We've not had Pam Bondi here, even though we have jurisdiction over the Department of Justice, not Dan Bundy.
The gentleman yield?
Not Kash Patel. I will 100%. We'll go back and forth. Let me just do my thing.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to correct. Kash Patel's coming in I'll give you an extra 10 seconds. Kash Patel, the director of FBI, is coming in 2 weeks, and the Attorney General's coming in 4 weeks.
Fantastic. But still, we're not doing that this week, the week we're having votes on the Epstein thing. So, Pam Bondi gives the influencers, these Republican influencers, a binder. It says Part 1 of the Epstein files. Don't know if you saw it. It was quite spectacular. The Attorney General then says the Epstein list is on her desk. Then DOJ issues a memo, says there is no list. Then, do you have any questions about any of that? We've had no hearings on any of that at all. That, the list is on my desk, then there is no list. Then we gave binders to Republican influencers. This committee's had no questions on any of how that transpired at the Department of Justice. Then hold on.
Well, it sounds like you're going to in the next few weeks. So that's a jolly good thing.
Mr. Farage, we can talk soon, but not yet. Okay. Right. So then the president comes out and says the whole thing's a hoax. He blasts his own base. He blames Barack Obama. I mean, he hasn't been president for a very long time. Republicans then in committee vote against the release in the Rules Committee. Then Republicans refuse to go back in the Rules Committee because they're getting blasted for their vote, getting crushed by their own base. Congress leaves a day early. Then the administration sends the Deputy Attorney General to meet with Maxwell in jail. He happens to be Trump's former personal attorney. She says something favorable about the president. Miraculously, she gets transferred to a minimum security prison. The president starts talking about how he has the right to pardon her if he wanted to. The leaks to the Wall Street Journal then stop. We come back from break. We have the Massey petition. Comer does a document dump where 97% of these documents are already public. How long has he had those documents? Why hasn't he released them for the last 6 weeks? Does it the day of the vote. Then Republicans drop a non-binding resolution trying to kill the Massey discharge petition. The White House said passing the Massey discharge petition is a hostile act. Wow. That's a lot of distraction and deflection and misinformation. Wait, passing a discharge petition to release the Epstein files, the White House said would be a hostile act. Nope, we have no questions about that. But why? Why is it that we're spending so much political capital to keep this list from coming out? You think the list should come out? You think we should know the people who dealt with Mr. Epstein, Mr. Farage?
I thought I was coming to a hearing on free speech, not process.
Oh, but listen, but here's the good...
It sounds like you're discussing process.
No. Do you think the list should come out?
I have no opinion on it. I don't know at all.
So we have victims that were sexually abused by potentially people in power, and we don't know who's on the list.
I'm very happy.
Hold on, Mr. Farage. We don't know who's on the list. We don't know who's on the list. We don't know if the president is or is not. I'm not going to say he is or isn't. I'm just going to say these are weird behaviors. We don't know that there aren't other people in Congress that are on the list. Right? We have no idea. Do you think the list should come out? You think people in power should be held to account for these victims who have been sexually abused and assaulted? You think the list should come out?
I think that I'm very happy to come to a different hearing where you talk about legal process.
Okay.
But today,
Will the gentleman yield for a quick question? Were you aware that he has already called for the Epstein file to be released? It has been reported that he has called for it to be released.
Oh yeah, right here, just to refresh your memory.
Yeah, but
I happen to have this.
But that's not
How random.
But that is not. Look, you could ask me if you like about
Do you agree
social
with
security
yourself?
policy.
Do you agree with yourself?
We are here to discuss free speech.
Hold on, it's awkward for your lunch after this? Do you agree with yourself?
No, it isn't at all.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I'm just curious. This committee has jurisdiction over the Department of Justice.
Yeah.
Why have we allowed Comer to cover this up for the last couple of months?
As I said,
why is this committee not
I
taking
said 6
jurisdiction?
weeks ago that we will have the FBI director in, we will have the attorney general in, and we are doing that in 2 weeks. You can go through that whole list. That whole list, you can do whatever you want to do with, I got lots of questions for the FBI director, including the whistleblower who came forward and told him that Adam Schiff leaked classified information. I want to ask him about that as well as the issues you all want to ask him about. That's why he's coming, so we can ask all these questions and follow the process, as Mr. Farage just talked about.
Mr.
The
Chairman,
gentleman from Virginia.
Unanimous consent.
Unanimous consent?
I'd like to enter the political article into the record that Mr. Farage said the Epstein file should be released.
Without objection. The gentleman from Virginia is recognized.
I thank the chairman. I want to talk about censorship tools that are being used by Europe and protectionist measures that have major consequences for U.S. companies and free expression.
Farage had traveled from the United Kingdom to testify about what he describes as growing threats to free expression in Europe. But before the substance of his testimony could fully unfold, Moskowitz seized on something unusual. Farage announced he would be leaving the hearing early. Moskowitz pressed him, asking where he was going. Farage declined to say, citing discretion. That evasiveness immediately set the tone. Moskowitz pointed out the irony. This was a hearing about free speech, yet a witness was unwilling to answer basic questions in a public forum. Farage brushed it off, saying discretion was different from free speech. The exchange was light at first, even sarcastic, but it quickly turned serious. Moskowitz pivoted to what he described as a much larger problem, the ongoing confusion and controversy surrounding the Epstein files in the United States. Over the past several months, he said, Congress has watched a series of contradictory statements and actions from the Department of Justice and the White House. According to Moskowitz, the Attorney General publicly claimed the Epstein list was on her desk, only for the Department of Justice to later issue a memo saying no such list exists. Influencers were given binders labeled Part 1 of the Epstein files, while Congress itself held no hearings on how or why those materials were released. Moskowitz laid out the timeline in painstaking detail. Republicans voted against releasing additional Epstein records in committee. After backlash from their own base, Congress left early. The administration sent the Deputy Attorney General, a former personal attorney for President Trump, to meet with Ghislaine Maxwell in prison. Shortly after that meeting, Maxwell was transferred to a minimum security facility and spoke favorably about the president. The president then publicly mused about having the authority to pardon her. Meanwhile, leaks to the press dried up. Moskowitz argued that all of this amounted to distraction, deflection, and misinformation. His core question was simple: why was so much political energy being spent to prevent full transparency? Why was releasing the Epstein files being framed by the White House as a hostile act? Turning back to Farage, Moskowitz asked directly whether he believed the Epstein list should be released. Farage resisted repeatedly, insisting he was there to discuss free speech in the United Kingdom, not American legal process. But Moskowitz did not let it go. He reminded Farage that Epstein's victims were sexually abused, potentially by people in positions of power. Without transparency, he argued, the public has no way of knowing whether those individuals remain in government, business, or media. Moskowitz made clear he was not accusing anyone in particular, including the president, but said the secrecy itself was deeply troubling. Farage continued to deflect, saying he would be happy to discuss legal process in another hearing. That answer only sharpened the contrast. Moskowitz pointed out that Farage himself had previously called for the Epstein files to be released, a fact later entered into the congressional record. The exchange underscored something larger than the personalities involved. It revealed how uncomfortable conversations about accountability can become when they cut across national lines and political alliances. A hearing nominally about free speech became a case study in how power, discretion, and transparency collide. For viewers, the takeaway is this: free speech is not just about what governments censor, it is also about whether institutions tell the truth, answer questions directly, and respect the public's right to know. When witnesses deflect, when officials contradict themselves, and when transparency becomes politicized, trust erodes. This moment was less about Nigel Farage personally and more about a system struggling to reconcile rhetoric with reality. Calls for openness ring hollow when accountability is selectively applied. If you want continued coverage that connects these dots and explains what congressional hearings really reveal about power and democracy, subscribe now. We will keep following these hearings and breaking down what they mean for free speech, accountability, and public trust.